Make me beautiful again.
Lizzie, hit it.
Tell me what you don't like about yourself.
Just start at your head and work your way down.
I'll read a script or I'll read an outline or I'll find out about some just preposterous medical story and I'll go to Ryan and go, this is absolutely outrageous and not real.
Cheek implants are made of bone grafted from the back of your skull. Sounds worse than it is.
People are always like, that would never happen. That's crazy. That's unreal. Where do you come up with this? Your mind is so warped. And what I always say to them repeatedly is, every surgery that we do on our show has happened or is based on something that is happening. We don't just make this stuff up. It's too weird to make up.
I think everything we do is based on a real story. We like to make it so that it could happen if it hasn't happened. I just try to help make it different and cutting edge.
I think we're always looking for something new to have our characters try. And Linda Klein does a great job of keeping her hand on the pulse of what's new out in the medical world.
I became involved because my friend Linda Klein is the medical consultant and also plays Nurse Linda on the show, and she often calls me if she has questions about plastic surgery. What I like about what Niptech has done is they've taken a lot of the innovations that we actually do use in plastic surgery and they put them on the show. Plastic surgery is an interesting specialty. It has a marriage of two separate but integrated fields. One is that of cosmetic or aesthetic surgery, and the other one is that of reconstructive surgery. But they're married because the technology and the principles that you apply to one often translate into the other. And we have seen a tremendous amount of interest, I think, on both of those platforms. I think it's because of those technologies that we're applying. People are fascinated to see what we can do nowadays in medicine.
It's weird when you air a story and then the New York Times calls and asks your comment on some medical procedure that's actually happening in Europe. All of our surgeries are that way. They're all based on sort of true events.
At the end of season 3, Ryan approached us saying that he knew the beginning of this 4th season he wanted to do an episode on ectrodactyly. And obviously, Bree Walker came up.
Ectrodactyly. Sorry. I know, clumsy word, hard to pronounce, but it's a hell of a lot better than lobster claw syndrome.
And then over the hiatus, Ryan had a conversation with her.
Ryan wanted to see what her life was about growing up with ectrodactyly.
We sort of had to be educated on it because we really didn't know what it was.
Ectrodactyly is a complete or partial absence of digits.
You sort of think of our hand, it's between these two digits here, I think, in the show. And that requires a number of reconstructive procedures where you are going to sort of repair and bring these bones together in the hand as well as repairing the soft tissues that overlie them.
And then on his thumb, it was short. So what we did was we put an external device which they had to turn every day to lengthen it. I called the company to get that external device, but usually they don't do it on babies that young. So it was a little bit of a challenge to even find the size, but we did, and everything worked out well. I thought that the growing an ear on a hairless mouse was new and innovative.
We call him Vincent.
After the 19th century painter Vincent van Gogh, he's infamous for cutting off his ear.
Thanks, Sister Wendy.
And then to throw Rosie O'Donnell into the mix of it all was just, to me, one of the greatest episodes.
Isn't he adorable?
This is an episode where we probably stretched it a little bit because in today's world, at this particular juncture, we're not capable of growing something on another species and then putting it in our own bodies without there being some form of rejection. But I think this comes from the fact that there have been a lot of studies where we've grown cartilage underneath a mouse's skin to show that, that we can do tissue engineering.
Sometimes you have to push the envelope. That's what Ryan tells me all the time.
Mr. Landau, tell me what you don't like about yourself.
My balls are no longer proportionate to my wang.
The Larry Hagman testicle implant was pretty remarkable because with that, Ryan kept bringing him different sizes, and he kept wanting them bigger and bigger and bigger, and they didn't make that size that he wanted. So we had to go out and manufacture it because, as he said in the script, he wanted kiwi size.
You're right. Plastic surgeon. Fix my goddamn face.
Burt Landau's character, when Larry Hagman had his stroke, we did a nerve transplant, and this is becoming pretty predominant today, where they take a nerve from your leg and they'll put it in your face. These are hope for the future for people that are out there, and it's great when we can bring something like that and show it to the public when, you know, they don't realize that there's these things out there. We dealt with a episode that had Treacher Collins.
Look, I apologize. It's just, I'm a plastic surgeon, and you have Treacher Collins.
I do? Oh my God.
Treacher Collins is a fascinating congenital defect because it really involves a lot of missing components on the face, primarily oriented around the eyes and the cheek region, but also involves the jaws. And so it's one of the most challenging reconstructive patients that as plastic surgeons we can have.
You ready?
Anything to improve my love life. My online girlfriend's giving me carpal tunnel.
My biggest problem is trying to take a surgery that takes 4 hours and try to make it into 2 minutes.
It's a balance between, I think, what is appealing on television and what they can show in a 3-minute clip and what we actually do in surgery, which takes, a month of planning and 4 hours in the operating room.
I tried to simplify them and find something that we could reproduce. So I have to pick out the most important things or the most dramatic things that you'd want to see. After we decide what the surgery is going to be, then we talk to the Bermans. They come in and we work out what the prosthetic should look like and what we need, and then they go back to their beautiful studio and they make it, and then we bring it to the set.
We try to raise the bar for ourselves every time we're given a project.
What's fun for us is the magic part of fooling somebody. So when Chris Boffa turns around and goes, God, I can't even watch this, and he's the cinematographer, you know you've been successful.
You're right.
The Bermans, they're phenomenal what they do, and they're very interested in getting my feedback, which I find somewhat comforting on these patients. They'll say, well, Ms. Treacher Collins, would you see this, or would you see that, or can you send me a picture out of one of your medical books, or can you come down here and tell us if we're doing this right? So again, this all goes in line with, I think the show makes a very concerted effort to make things as realistic as possible.
We try to do a good job of keeping it real, and so we'll get all these big microscopes in or some new giant piece of equipment.
We get great equipment from these companies that are just, happy to get it on Nip Tuck. And it's cutting-edge stuff that most doctors that'll walk on our set will go, oh my God, I don't have that in my office.
I'm always amazed when I go on these sets that, if the wall sockets actually worked and the equipment was functional, you could probably run a very good hospital.
One thing, too, to see how far the actors have come, because when we first started, they didn't want to do any of this surgery, and I would bring in real doctors and they would do the surgery for them. But now, it's like they love to do the surgery.
Don't be nervous. You're in good hands.
Dylan and Julian, both, they want to just get in there and do it.
They're way too good looking to be real surgeons, but I think from a talent perspective, I think they could certainly be doctors if they wanted to be.
With my sizzling good looks and brilliant business savvy and your moderately impressive talent, I think we could take over this town.
Plastic surgery has become, in part probably because of Nip Tuck, it's become one of the most popular, if not the most popular medical specialty to apply to. And I often, quite frankly, have medical students come up and ask me, well, what do you drive, a Porsche or a Ferrari? And it's disappointing to them that I drive a minivan.
The feedback I get are all the doctors, they love the plastic surgery that we do and all the surgeries, and I just get great feedback from all the doctors. It's their favorite show.
I didn't know they did real medical stuff in here, too.